Welcome on board Narrowboat Isness. There's lots of synchronicity about this story that I'm about to tell you. This particular spot, this mooring, is special to me. I was drawn to this spot before I even purchased this narrowboat. There was some kind of invisible energy drawing me in. You know, when you get that thing about something that takes you to a place and you're drawn to it, and there's something just, you can't put your finger on it, you can't say what it is. This is really the story of how I got narrowboatishness, how I got this narrowboat, and including Jazz with her narrowboat too. It's here that I was filming, just up there, the kingfishers round the corner. And if you want to watch the film about the kingfishers, see some beautiful footage, just click on the link above. I was kayaking up and down this section of canal. I would come up all the way up this canal to them boats up there that you can see, permanent moorings on the farm side. And I'd turn round just up there. Every time I went up there, you know, I set an intention. I just thought, these narrowboats are great. One day it'd be lovely to live on the canal. The universe must have been listening, because not long after that, I put an advert out to look for a boat, and somebody came back straight away and said, look, I've got a boat, but I haven't put it up for sale yet. I'm thinking about it. And I didn't know where this boat was, and the chap who owned this boat said it was here, at this mooring up here, and this is the boat that I used to turn around at. I fell in love with the boat straight away, and it was just perfect for me. It was just, I knew I could live on it. You know, you step down and you just feel, yeah, this is home, you know, this is home. And I stayed here on this mooring for about a year, and I spent the time repainting the boat and renaming it. It was originally called Boarhound. And then I set off as a continuous cruiser along the Macclesfield Canal. This is absolutely wonderful. We're in September and we've got a mini heat wave. I think they call it an Indian summer. My lovely friend Jazz was stuck in Portugal during lockdown and wanted to come back as soon as she could when the aircraft started flying again, and asked me. I was only moored up again round the corner, just in the woodland where the kingfishers were, and a message and a phone call said, I want a boat, I want to live on a boat. Look, start searching for a boat. So that's what I did. The next day, walked along the towpath, back up here, and I got to the end near the bridge. And there was this long 60-foot boat and this young lady on the front of the well deck. I got into a conversation about Jazz wanting a boat, and she was quite like-minded, you know, and loved nature. And she happened to say, I'm thinking of selling my boat. I haven't put it up for sale yet. I haven't advertised it. Are you interested? I took some photographs, a little bit of video, and I sent it off to Jazz. Jazz just sort of like fell in love with it and says, I think this is it. This is the boat. Jazz got on a plane. Literally, she came back from Portugal into living on a narrowboat, just like me. There was even more synchronicity as well. The bridge number was the same age as Jazz, and the postcode of the permanent mooring has Jazz's initials. And there's even more synchronicity. This boat is a 2005 Liverpool build, and guess what Jazz's boat is? Yeah, it's a 2005 Liverpool build. The same year, the same build, the same canal, the same mooring, the same sequence of purchasing where somebody was thinking about selling a boat, hadn't put it up for sale, and you're the first person that comes along and looks at it and buys it, and that happened to both of us. So this is a special place for me, you know, and the boat, of course, was called Kingfisher. It all started by me filming kingfishers flying up and down here on this section of the canal. When you're connected with yourself, with the self, you find a lot more wonderful things, positive things happen. The universe listens to you, and if you set an intention like, oh, what a lovely place, wouldn't it be lovely to live here? You know, you just never know that that might happen. It could happen. Just here and in the area, there's a ley line. So maybe that is a reason why there is so much energy here. And all this has happened. We needed a sort of an expert on this, and it's difficult to find people that know quite a bit about ley lines. And here's another synchronistic thing. Jazz contacts a friend who she hasn't spoken to for quite a while. They call him Tony, and he's into ley lines, and he knows quite a bit. I've spoken to him on the phone. Well, I've invited Tony to come and have a chat and to feed me some more information. Well, thank you for coming along, Tony. It's really good of you to pop down. We haven't seen you for a long time. This particular spot here is where I'm more up, and I'm always drawn to it. And there's just something beautiful about it, and the energy that I get here. We found out that you've got these dowsing sticks, and why not invite you along to come and find out if there's a ley line, you know? So that's why I've asked you down. I mean, what are ley lines?
I think the easiest way of describing ley lines is to go to the human body first. A lot of people will have heard of Chinese medicine and acupuncture, and the way that operates is that the Chinese believe that the human being has a series of meridian lines carrying energy around the body, and where the meridian lines cross, the nodes, is where the needles are placed, and by stimulating the needles you increase the flow of energy through the body, so you end up with wellness.
Right, okay.
So if you take that across to the earth, there's a lot of people believe that the earth has the equivalent to the meridian lines, and they refer to them as ley lines.
Right, okay.
And before we had all the road structures, with the Romans building roads, etc., a lot of the local people, they had no roads to follow.
Right.
They followed a path, and that path just coincided with what we now know as ley lines.
And ley lines, they meet at certain points, don't they?
Yes. Right.
And it's usually, isn't it, sort of like places of interest, like a church or a castle or something like that?
Or the top of a hill. And it's interesting, you know, how many times you've been out into the countryside and you've just walked along and you just get to this point and you think, wow.
Yeah.
And that tends to be a point where you've got ley lines crossing.
Just like here, where I'm drawn to when I moor my boat, I just keep coming back here. And of course, the story of how me and Jazz got the boats, you know, the synchronicity of it all, there was some kind of energy drawing us into this area to come here.
Yes.
You know, and as you can see today yourself, it's a beautiful spot as well.
If you're in tune with that energy, then miracles can happen.
Good.
And I call them miracles.
So what we'll do is we'll pop across there, because that's where I originally got the boat from. And I've seen on a map online that there's a ley line that comes through somewhere over there. So it'd be great if you could confirm that. That'd be really good.
Okay,
Let's go and have a look.
Yeah.
So Tony, what we found, have we got a ley line?
Yes, yes. As I approached the Narrowboat, there was a sense of peace, and I just felt the energy lifting. And so, of course, I always carry the dowsing rods with me. Took the dowsing rods out, and didn't even have to tune in. They were just pointing in the direction of the line.
Yeah. And this particular line, ley line, tell me a little about where does it start and where does it finish?
The particular line that we're on is part of what is referred to as the Belinus line, or the spine of Albion, Albion being the Old English name for Britain.
Right.
And it starts in the Isle of Wight and goes up to the very north of Scotland, where it strangely aligns with the planetary or the star constellation of Cygnus, and goes through a lot of the well-known landmarks throughout Britain.
Right.
And there's a book, a very, very useful book, called The Spine of Albion, where it maps where the line goes.
Right.
And the two authors have concluded that it's both a male and a female line, and it's like a caduceus, if you're aware the caduceus symbol, the medical symbol, where the line crisscrosses, two lines crisscrossing one another all the way up to Scotland.
Like we saw on your map, where you put the dots, the yellow dots representing the masculine, wasn't it, the male, and then you put the red was,
yeah, that's right. And there are points where they intersect. And so in this area, for instance, we've got Bosley Cloud. They intersect on Bosley Cloud, they intersect on Alderley Edge, on the edge itself.
Right.
And you get uplifted when you go to these spots. Just a lot of energy, a lot of balanced energy, I would say.
Well, that explains the male energy of this line here, because when I got my boat, the first thing I started doing was getting just all this energy and rub down the boat, painting the boat, and it was madness. But I also feel a soft energy, a gentle energy, because when I'm up there, you know, and you sit on the roof of the boat and you're looking at that lovely scenery, there's just something, you can't put your finger on it, as I say. No. It's out there, you can feel it, and it's hard to explain, isn't it?
You haven't got the words for it.
Yeah.
And if you try, you can invent words.
Yeah.
Some words are quite good that you can invent.
Yeah.
No, I think you just sit there and feel. I think as 21st century people, we tend to need to have explanations for everything. And isn't it just wonderful, just sitting there and being in that energy? Don't need explanations. If you feel it and you're feeling really good, isn't that wonderful?
So if anybody's listening to this now and watching, they must probably get that feeling themselves, you know, that there's something drawing them. So maybe there's a ley line where they are. Maybe, you know.
There will be somewhere that they know, that they go back to. You know, how often do you say, I've got a favourite spot? It might be the top of a hill, it might be sitting by a river. And it's somewhere that's high in energy. And there will be a ley line somewhere near. I don't think you need to explain it. You just, if you feel it and you know it and it feels good, go back there.
And of course, earlier on we had a look at the map and we put a tape measure across, didn't we? Because just up there is Fool's Nook. And it's written in books and online that was one of the last druid spots in England. And I had the drone up recently, because druids seem to always be drawn to burial sites or ancient monuments, don't they? I took the drone up there, and at first I didn't spot anything, but then there was something actually quite close to the Fool's Nook bridge on the canal, and it's a mound. Now, some people might say it's a mound because it'll have all the earthworks from the canal 200 years ago. But it's too, for me, looking down at it, when you look at it, it's too round, it's too perfect, it's like it's been built. So it's possible that might be a burial ground. And so maybe that is the spot around there where the druids used to meet. Possibly. Who knows?
Yes, who knows? Yeah.
But when we did that line, there's actually a line going through there as well, isn't there?
Yes.
All the way towards Macclesfield.
Yes. Yeah. The druids knew a thing or two.
they will have felt that energy as well.
They just
didn't
felt. They felt.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I think we have this idea that druids walked around, you know, a bit like the monks, and all like an ecclesiastical group. But I just have a feeling they had a good time.
Yeah.
And they had a lot of dancing. And
Mind
a lot
you,
of
there was some
singing.
sacrifices, wasn't there?
Oh, there were. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh dear.
Your stories about finding the boats in this particular location, tied up with their line. When I moved to my present cottage, the first thing I noticed was a ley line running through the corner of the cottage. So of course you get the map out and you work out where the ley line is, and you draw the direction, and it goes straight up to Teg's Nose to a park bench up there. Wherever I had any problems, I used to go out, sit on that park bench and just look at the view.
Yeah.
And I just find that it's not a coincidence, is it?
Yeah. Well, it's strange. I've been drawn up there quite a lot of times as well in the past, not recently. The beautiful sunsets that you get from up there as well are amazing. Looking over the Cheshire Plain, it's really lovely, isn't it? Thanks for joining me, Tony. And it's been a pleasure to see you again. We haven't seen you for a long time, and Jazz has been really chuffed to see you again as well.
And thank you for inviting me. It's just nice to actually find, for me, a new spot with a lot of energy. And
okay, right, hang on, I'll start again.
Cycles.
Yeah. Thanks for coming along, Tony. It's been really interesting and fascinating, and thanks for confirming, you know, there is a ley line down here, and it obviously is one of the main reasons why I'm feeling drawn here, and all the synchronicity of how me and Jazz got the boats. Again, thank you very much for joining me.
You're very welcome.
Thanks.
Thank you for inviting me. And sharing the energy. Yeah. So there you go, energy lines, ley lines, energy flow lines, whatever you want to call them. Thank you for tuning in and watching Narrowboat Isness. I hope you've enjoyed this episode.
If you haven't subscribed, please do so. It's a great way to support me. Or click the thumbs up button, that's the like button. I look forward to seeing you back on board Narrowboat Business very soon.